Hey everybody, I'm here with Carlos, and he had a pretty interesting sighting, so I'm gonna let him take it away.
Sure, thank you, James. All right, so
Carlos, when did this happen?
I can't tell you what day it was. It was a while ago. I'd say it was before I was 18. I was still dependent on my parents. Um, my dad had taken me to go see a movie. We were coming home pretty late. It was around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I still had school, so he was bringing me home so I can get to my bed, for in time for school the next day. So we're nearly at my community. I live in a community, and there's no gates to it, but I'm nearly at the entrance for it. There's one turn on the left. Right before the turn is a little farm. On the right side of the road, it's got its fence and its critters going all about it in the house. On the left side, directly across, is a barn full of farming equipment, tractors, stuff like that. And there's a sign on a tree, yielding for, animals and everything. So driving towards that sign, coming up on the left for the entrance to my community, me and my dad, we see something on the sign. You know how in, where you have your headlights at deer, you can see their eyes, glowing kind of.
Yeah.
At first, that's what we saw, and then the eyes closed. We look at each other to see, like, confirmation, we both just saw that. And we look again, the eyes are gone, but there's a silhouette of, like, sort of like a human figure, kind of tall and lanky. I would say by like a good 6 feet, not incredibly tall, but taller than your average man. Pretty lanky, long limbs. Sort of like the movie, if you've seen the movie The Predator, the camouflage where you can see through the body, but the shape of the outline of the predator is still visible, sorta. You know, that's what it looked like to us, and it started to walk across the road. Uh, the camouflage was still showing the sign that it was camouflage too, and it started walking. So like we could see it's clear through, but it still had the camouflage of that sign active on it. That was the best way for us to see it walking across the road.
Okay.
And both me and my dad, we slowed down because we were pretty scared at that point, not knowing what the heck we were looking at. Uh, just watching it go across. It makes it across, so we continue going, and we turn into the community, like, not even a minute later. Look at each other, asking each other if we both saw what we just saw, and we decided to turn around and go to look for it. Uh, we couldn't find it, of course. We parked the car and got out, looked for it a little bit, and after, like, 5 minutes of looking, we were like, all right, let's just go home. And yeah, that was that night. But the next morning, coming out of that community, that road leads to town, so we pass it pretty frequently. We see, a bunch of cops around. Apparently, the owner of the barn, he called, the cops because he claimed that somebody had, broken into the barn. It was left open. Um, we didn't see anything. We actually stopped to talk to them and said what we saw, but of course it sounded insane. But they took. I don't know if they took it down, but they listened to us at least. And after that, that was pretty much it. I never saw anything like it. It looked pretty alien to me because I've never seen anything like that could describe something like that.
Yeah, that was my next question. When you first saw it, what did you think it was?
I felt it was alien. I don't imagine anything having the technology to be able to do something like that. Now, at first when you saw its eyes, it looked human. It looked, almost like an animal, because I don't think humans, when their eyes, are in the headlights like that, they glow.
No, they don't.
So
Definitely don't.
yeah, that's what caught our attention. And then obviously, we saw it, whatever it was, walking across the street in a camouflage, like the Predator type thing. And the only way I could describe that was like alien, especially because the sensation while we're watching it was like almost like our bodies took control, you know, driving past it out of fear, but staying calm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about this the other day, I had brought up the topic of the Glimmer Man, and I showed you a few videos of the subject. Did that look like what you've seen before?
After
Oh,
seeing,
all right, go ahead.
after seeing the videos and various, podcasts, and I myself afterwards, googled some more of it. After seeing what you showed me, it did remind me of it, and it's probably the closest thing to what I saw
Okay.
as you showed me. And not saying it was an alien, but that is a good explanation of what I did see, and it was very similar. So it could be the Glimmer Man as you described.
Yeah, from what I know, these sightings are popping up now, and a lot of people are seeing them. And I think the Glimmer Man is the best way they could describe it. They could be alien, they could be anything.
Yeah.
But all right, so that was your sighting with your father.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other day I had asked you, what other have you had any other weird activity around your house? And now, if you want to say where you live, because that
Yeah.
I think with
Okay.
the activity that you've been having, where you live plays a part in that.
Okay. Sure. So I live in Chihola, PA, in a community called Sagamore Estates, and it's a pretty like. All right. So from what I know, the community used to be an old summer camp for a Jewish community. It has since been, stopped and been turned into like just a regular community for housing.
Almost like a cul-de-sac type
Yeah,
deal.
almost. Most of it is pretty, nature filled. So the roads there are all dirt because they don't want paved roads contaminating the environment. Because there's a lake there. It's called Twin Lakes. So everything's pretty natural. Whatever house is there, it's built right around trees. I'm completely surrounded by trees during the summer. I get low signal because of all the trees and all the leaves and stuff. We barely get any signal during the winter. It's a little bit more easier because there's less trees or there's less leaves on the trees.
Okay.
So this place I have seen very various things that could classify as weird. At night mostly, we hear very strange noises. I remember a couple nights because you can hear pretty much everything that walks through the woods. It's pretty silent, and I would hear loud footsteps running very fast. Like it sounds, you can tell what kind of animal is outside just by the sound of the footsteps that's crumpling in the leaves. Like
Yeah.
you could tell if it's a deer.
Yeah.
You could tell if it's a squirrel, something, and you could tell when it's a bear. Now these footsteps were heavy. I would even say heavier than a bear. And the only bears we have around here are like black bears.
Yeah.
But it was faster than a deer. Like it was running pretty fast. And I know bears can run fast, but not through the woods like that. Especially because they gotta watch their step. It's not flat ground, And heavy breathing. I hear a lot of heavy breathing, almost like it's right next to my wall. But from its footsteps, it's far away.
Yeah.
And the type of noises sometimes I hear out there sound almost like an older woman being mutilated, like screaming bloody murder. Not saying anything obviously, but making shrieking, growling, howling noises.
Okay.
But it sounds almost human, more like an older woman, and pretty like in pain.
Would you say it sounds like an older woman who's maybe been smoking cigarettes for a long time?
Yeah, that's what I mean by older women, because they have that raspy, kind of aggressive, painful type voice.
Okay.
Because they're older and stuff. that's a good way to describe what I hear. Yeah.
Okay. Now, with the footsteps, I remember you telling me, wasn't there something being chased out in the back of your house?
Yeah. So I could hear it chasing, something, because with the footsteps alone, you can hear like a tiny critter being chased around by something else, like uh, because there's more than one set of footsteps that you can hear. So it was obviously chasing something down, and you know, by the sound of it, it sounded pretty terrifying. I myself was terrified to the point where I just wanted it to stop. Uh, I didn't even want to record it, you know, uh, because I was almost terrified that if I did try to record it, somehow it would know and just like come after me. So
Okay.
it was almost like a nightmare.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Now, has there been any like issues with pets in your area?
Yeah, so we do have a dog that mainly stays outside. She likes to be outside. She's a husky. Um, when we first had her, she was very protective, helping out with animals that like to get in the trash. She would protect the house. We had her roaming the house like not leashed up, at first.
Yeah.
But then there'd be some times where she would just leave and not come back for a while, and we believe it's because she was chasing off, bears or whatever. But um, it got to a point where there was one morning when leaving for school where she wasn't around, and there was just a whole vertebrae and rib cage in blood and flesh just lying on my front porch. And at first we believed it was her because she wasn't around, but 2 days later she came back. So it felt like it was left there as like a warning sign to,
Like
that,
keep your dog keep your dog out of my area.
to keep our dog in check at least,
Okay.
because we don't know who or what could have left it there. If it was human, people around here, they normally, just communicate like, hey, keep your dog leashed up.
Yeah.
At that point, after that word, we had built her a doghouse, and kept her, kind of caged up so she can to protect her, because we believed it was her that was getting hurt, and especially because there had been a lot of pets that have been gone missing. Like I've had several cats that gone missing, or people have had dogs that gone missing. All sorts of pets like dogs and cats and stuff like that.
And what do your neighbors like say about this? Have you asked your neighbors about it?
I have asked my neighbors. Most of them generally just keep quiet or don't, tell me it's coyotes. We've been told that coyotes live in the area and they could be the ones, uh, harming or taking our pets because they're very hunters and stuff like that. So that's what we've been told, but it almost feels like they kind of know something, especially the local hunters that they've been around, and they tell me that there's some things that they hear and see that they can't explain, but they have never been able to definitively find out what it was. But being hunters, they've been around and telling them like they know the difference between coyotes, bears, all sorts of animals, and there's something out there that they can explain. Is definitely out there doing more, causing trouble, so to say. To be careful, never go alone, never go at night. Keep yourself armed if you can, and there's something out there. Don't just keep your head in the clouds. Stay alert.
So pretty much they're telling you to pay attention to your surroundings if you go out in those woods.
Yeah, because
and around your house is super heavily forested.
Yes, there's everywhere you go 360. There's gonna be woods. There's various roads that are dead end roads that have a house here or there too, and there's a main road, but it's very heavily forested.
Now, have you ever heard any information about why they stopped it being a camp for a while and like shut it down?
From what I heard, it was people getting hurt, people going missing, and they could no longer, it became too much trouble for them to, keep it running with all the allegations, and then, people not trusting them or feeling safe around, said camps. So they were losing business.
Do you know around what years they decided to close shop?
I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like it was around the 70s or early 60s.
Okay.
It was early because the house I live in was built in the 60s, and it was definitely like one of the a main cabin for like the camp counselors.
Okay.
So they're pretty old houses.
All right. Hey, listen, man. Thank you again for telling me your story. I really appreciate it.
No problem, absolutely.
And if you hear anything else, shoot me. We work together. Let me know.
Yeah. Of course, I'll let you know if I find anything. And since I'm a bit older, this all happened to me when I was much younger. I'll definitely be on the lookout and try to be able to provide more evidence than just a story. At least a recording or a picture,
Listen. Don't get evidence. No, don't. Leave the evidence alone.
Okay.
All right. But thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Hey everybody, I'm here with Carlos, and he had a pretty interesting sighting, so I'm gonna let him take it away.
Sure. Thank you, James. All right. So
Carlos, when did this happen?
I can't tell you what day it was. It was a while ago. I'd say it was before I was 18. I was still dependent on my parents.